All right, if you need another example of creating a confidence interval in StatCrunch for two means, when we're talking about comparing two means, um, we could do that with this next example, which is about the amount of time people spend reading for leisure from StatsMedic. Um, Again, we're going to t-stats to sample, and we have summary statistics as well. Data would mean that we have like a full data set. And then we look and we kind of read this particular question. I could bring it over. That would be cute of me. You're gonna see all of my sad like, hey, Kelly, make a video. Anyways, we keep read through. We found many Americans, blah blah blah. People ages 15 to 19 average only 7.8 minutes. So we have an average for this group, blah blah blah, with a standard deviation. Okay, and then they give us the sample sizes way later. I'm very angry at this question, but we can handle this. Let's just go back to my StatCrunch. I have 7.8 and a standard deviation of 5.4. That is not the right StatCrunch. 7.8 and 5.4. And then they gave us a sample size later. I paused because the way they stated these values, it almost makes it seem like these are real population parameters. It is from a survey, so we know that's not true. It's just weird to give us the data, the samples later. So this is 975, so a much larger sample than we were dealing with in that race and resume example, or whatever we were doing with stent control. Race resume was back in proportions, 975. All right, and then we keep going. People 75 and older spend an average of 43.8. Why are we even doing an interval here? I mean, I guess I'm trying to figure out why I care. Um, with a standard deviation of 35.5 and 1050. Will I remember those values as I switch over? 35.5 and 1050. Okay, so what I'm saying here is looking at these, there's a huge difference in these sample means, right? This is gigantic. Obviously, we're not doing a hypothesis test trying to see if retirees are reading more than teenagers. But questionable. I guess we're gonna find this difference. I also don't like the setup right now because I don't like negative intervals. This is just me. If I were gonna do this, I would probably reverse these so that I have a nice positive interval showing that difference between the two groups, and I could just reverse and say the difference in time between those 75 and older versus teenagers. But again, I didn't write this question. I'm just answering it from StatsMedic. Um, there is, of course, like I am sitting here acting like, of course, there's a big difference. Look at this. It's like a 30-minute difference on average. 35, 38, don't trust me to do math. But when we look at this, we see these standard deviations. There's a lot of variability in both of these groups, right? If you look at the standard deviation here, there's a lot of variability in those people 75 and older, where there's a number of them who are not reading very much. So who knows? This could potentially contain zero. We're thinking about this in sort of that duality section. But let's go ahead. We're going to make a confidence interval because that's what the question asked for. And we're going to construct and interpret our 95% confidence interval. So let's go ahead, compute. Oh, nope, it's completely negative and very large. So if we were going to interpret this, let me go ahead. Actually, I might even edit this into my beautiful page. This is like live editing here. We're going to go back down here. I'll eventually make this into a one of those accordions, those little expandy solution guys. But I'm going to come down to the very bottom and do my interpretation. Might as well get work done while I'm here, right? So video solution coming soon. Cool. We need to interpret that 95% confidence interval. So we are 95% confident that and here's where we're just going to steal the wording of the question, difference in mean amount of time that people age 15 to 19 and people ages 75 and over read each is fine, day is between, and then we can put in those values. I did copy paste them, but the formatting is going to be garbage, so I'm not going to do that. Negative 38.2 and negative 33.8 minutes. Boom. And I could also change that each day to be later. Read is between blah, 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 blah per day. All right, so I got my units in there. I've got the context. We're talking about a difference in means. That's super important. I have that word confident, which we know is crucial because other keywords, right, using something like probability, certain, sure, they don't necessarily imply the exact same thing as confidence does in terms of a statistical setting, especially probability. Anything can be really construed as a probability, makes it seem like our parameter is something random and but it's not random. It is a set amount and we just don't know what it is. But again, if we had reversed this, I think it would have been a little cleaner for the interpretation for someone, right? The 33.8 and 38.2 minutes per day, switching up the order of those two groups. But that's just me. We've got our interpretation. And that is our final example for 11.3 and our two sample stuff.